Welcome to Revolutionary Motion, where we show you tennis from a different perspective. If you're struggling to understand what bending your knees in tennis actually means and if it's actually required, here are the answers for you. So let's first start with the question what bending your knees actually means. Counterintuitively, bending your knees does not mean squatting or bending your knees with the same position as if you're standing straight up. What you want to do in tennis to bend your knees is to take a lunge step forward. The lunge step will make it much easier for you to bend your knees because you're not actively bending them, they just become bent because your legs are so far apart from each other. Now, obviously that applies to forehands, two-handed backhands, and one-handed backhands alike, no matter if you're hitting a topspin shot or a slice. So keeping that in mind, the next question is it actually required to bend your knees in tennis? And the answer to that is a bit more complicated. It is that it depends. And what does it depend on? It depends on how high or low the contact point will be on your tennis shot. If you, for example, have a shot where you have to hit the ball when it's right here, for me that would be perfectly in the right height for myself to feel comfortable, I would not really bend my knees very much. The only thing I would do for my knees is I would make sure they're slightly bent so I'm more balanced and stable throughout my shot. In order to do that, I would maybe take a little bit of a bigger stance, a little bit of a wider stance to make sure that I feel comfortable rotating into my shot to hit the ball in the perfect contact point without losing my balance. If, however, the ball is a lot higher, for example, obviously bending your knees will make it much, much tougher than it already is to hit that ball with a comfortable shot. Because the lower you are, the less you can swing forward into that high contact point. The more you're going to rise up with your shots, meaning the ball will go very loopy. If the ball is really, really low on the other hand, like for example on a good slice that your opponent played, what you want to do is you want to take a really big lunge step, so you would get into a position like this. Now why would you take such a big step here? Because the ball, the contact point, is much lower than it would be on a regular shot. Now you can probably see the pattern here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to take that lunge step in the correct size, I guess, according to how high or low the ball is, and that means that you're trying to change the height of your shoulders. So if you're standing completely straight, you feel comfortable in this shot, in this position here, that means that if a ball is now lower, you want to get the same angle in your arm and body. So in order to do that with a lower contact point, you got to take that lunge step. If a ball is higher up, that's when you see, for example, some pros jump into their shots because they want to have that same angle in their arm, angle from the arm to the shoulder to the upper body. In order to do that, you're adjusting the height of your shoulders. That's where bending your knees comes into play. So you can see that if somebody doesn't really hit many slices or doesn't hit very many low balls, or short balls for that matter that you have to run up to that end up being low for you in the contact point, you can actually get around without bending your knees all that much. Okay? But keep in mind, bending your knees does not mean squatting, it means taking a lunge step. So a small step like that with slightly bent knees will be perfectly fine for the majority of the tennis shots that you're going to hit. And here we got some examples for you guys of Kata hitting her forehands first, where she's staying a bit lower if she has to, like on this shot, and a little bit higher on shots where the ball is just not as high in the contact point. Now going over to the backhand side, and you were seeing the same thing. She bends her knee a little bit, especially the back knee here, but not as much if it's not required. But on this last shot, you can see she clearly needs to do it. In conclusion, make sure that you always keep your knees slightly bent, very slightly bent, and take lunge steps instead of squatting down for your shots on forehands and backhands, making sure that you have a stable stance that doesn't cause you to lose balance while you're hitting. In order to do that, adjust how wide your step has to be according to how low the ball is that you are trying to hit.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.